I've advocated for so long for women to use their voice. And then I was silent.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
The latter.
Gigi, that interview was crazy, like explosive. But you know what? I also think that I wasn't fully shocked about some of the things I was hearing. One of the reasons being is because I always felt, and you could always tell, that there was something a little bit off with the monarchy, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Like I could always tell, and I always felt like there was something a little bit off with the monarchy, like with what happened with Princess Diana and everything like that. But I also feel like for a lot of people who didn't believe or believe the tabloids about Meghan Markle, this was validation for her, because she said some things that honestly made my skin crawl. You know, like the fact that, first off, she's the first mixed race person going into the royal family, right? And just the way that they treated her, and just that silent contract that she talked about between the monarchy and the tabloids, the press in Britain, right? And how basically it's like, it's a give, a tit and tat type of thing. Like you give them a little something so that you hope that they give you positive press. That's how other people in the family were operating, meaning that it's all a game.
Yeah.
It's all a game.
Yes.
And clearly she wasn't here for the games.
Right.
I wouldn't want her to. Who wants to play games like that? Like you're playing games with your life.
Right.
Games that, according to Harry, killed his mom. Right?
Yeah.
Like you take that in for a second, you're like, whoa, whoa. That is like alarming. And I think one of the biggest things that really hit me during that interview is when Oprah said, you know, were you silent or were you silenced? And she said the latter, meaning that she was silenced.
Right.
And she said that she went into this because she really believed that they were going to protect her. Now, there's a lot of people saying that, listen, okay, so you went into the royal family not doing any research. That raised a lot of eyebrows for a lot of people. And of course, like, I mean, I don't know, like, if you're gonna marry into like a royal family, naturally you're probably gonna do some research, right? So to go into it a bit naively.
I just don't think that she realized how deep it was.
And I think that as well. Because I mean, like she was a, you know, kind of a celebrity here in North America. So she was kind of used to that lifestyle of seeing celebrities here and there when she was working in Toronto. She's from LA. So I could see how naturally it's like easy, like you're just thinking this is just a normal thing. And in America, the royals are not that big like here in Canada. They're not part of our society. They don't sing God Save the Queen or God Bless Her, whatever the song is. You know, what is it? Is God Save the Queen, God Save the Queen, right? Like the Queen's not on their money.
Yes.
Like here in Canada. Exactly. So for us, it's a bit more of a bigger deal. Remember, she's from America. But like what really hit me was when she revealed that there were questions about how dark Archie was gonna be.
He won't be given security. He's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Like, take that in for a second. This is 2021, right? This is 2021.
Oprah was fuming.
I think the entire world was fuming. Like, we're still talking, and let's not forget the monarchy, right, is an institution that is embedded within, like, our surrounding colonialism. People forget, like, this institution destroyed many nations and lives, right? I'm not saying today, but in the past, that's where it was embedded in.
Right.
And so now you have this woman of color, biracial, stepping into this institution that has a very dark history, and clearly some of those attributes, those things are still a part of it, right? They're still a part of it. And so what I'm trying to figure out, okay, what I'm trying to figure out is, who had that conversation with her about how dark the baby is gonna be? Because clearly that person don't know the saying, darker the berry, sweeter the juice. Okay? Because let me tell you, as a dark-skinned black man, there is nothing wrong with a nice shade of chocolate. Am I right, Gigi? And I would love to see Archie be a little dark, because I think that personally would mean a lot to, you know, black people in general. And a lot of black people come from countries that are still part of the Commonwealth. Think Jamaica, for example.
Right, yeah.
Okay? So that was striking, but what also was really striking is when she talked about the fact, right, that the press used and weaponized Kate Middleton's tears against her.
What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me, and the people who were part of our wedding going to our comms team and saying, I know this didn't happen.
Take that in, okay? She was a victim of that white weaponization of tears. And what does that mean? The world is so sympathetic, and this is the truth. When white women cry, right, the world believes them. No, I'm telling you what like it is. Because I myself have been a victim of that in the workplace. And I'm not gonna get into too much details, and I'm not gonna spill too much tea. But it's interesting that she was a victim of that, and she had to be the one to dispel that lie. The royal family didn't dispel that lie. They allowed that to marinate, and for people to look at her as the villain. They looked at Meghan as the villain. Also think about this, you know what I also found interesting? It was almost like it was a distraction. Like they kind of used her and like the framing of the story of like good and bad and painted her as bad as a distraction from other things that we should have been talking about the royal family. There's some people in the royal family where there should be some investigations going on in terms of their conduct.
Yes, and I think we also don't talk about like how dangerous the press is and mainstream media.
The power of the press is a big thing, right? The power of the press is a big thing, and the power of mainstream media is a big thing. And this is where it goes back to diversity of voices, right? And I say this all the time. I mean, I've worked in mainstream media. Many people know that already. And I left mainstream media to start an independent media source, you know, the Brandon Gona show, and to start Gona's Media Inc. But I did that because far too often in mainstream media, it's, you know, just a handful of people controlling the narrative, controlling what we read, right? And a lot of them come from the same economic backgrounds, right? Same racial backgrounds. So there's a lack of diversity of voices and perspective. And clearly, this is what was happening in Britain, too.
So in your opinion, do you feel like an individual can infiltrate a corporation or a system that was designed a certain way?
I don't know. I think there are some institutions, some systems that are made how they are, and that they're not going to change. And to change them would require abolishing them and starting it all over again.
So when you say abolishing them, what do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is that Meghan went into this scenario, into this monarchy, and they tried to eat her alive, essentially. She talked about she had thoughts of suicide. Take that in for a second. She wanted to, was having thoughts about ending her life because she felt trapped inside of a system that was not protecting her.
I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was a very clear and real and frightening, constant thought.
That is scary. That is scary. She didn't have her passport. They take away her passport, her driver's license. She can't just leave on her own will. That's wild. This is 2021.
And she always was an advocate about, you know, using your voice and standing up for yourself, even as a child.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like for her to go through like, you know, 20-something years of like being expressive and free to like, you know, for 4 years just being silenced, like that takes a toll on you.
And when I talk about like the system, right, as a thing, like remember she said that she had a great relationship with the Queen, for example. Like she said her and the Queen had this actual, you know, granddaughter, grandma relationship. But it was the people in the system that were making it hell for her and for Harry and for their expanding family, which goes to show you that some systems are created how they're created. And her and Harry trying to, you know, fix the system, they just punched back against them with more negative press.
But the thing is that now they
Because she even said some of those stories, those negative stories about her, came from the firm, is how she referred to it, the firm itself. right? So the firm, which she also revealed, right? She also revealed they hosted tabloid parties.
Oh,
Yes. So yeah. So basically, what they would do, like once a year, they would bring all the tabloids to the palace, okay, to the palace, and then they would host them for parties, right? Because that was part of the silent contract,
Wow.
right? Like
did not know that.
Yeah. So this is how powerful the media is, but also how deep this relationship was. It's like dancing with the devil. Like this family dances with the devil,
Right.
right? Dances with the devil.
Yeah.
And so here's what I left thinking. First of all, I'm so happy she spoke her truth and that Harry spoke his truth. Remember, Harry also said that his dad stopped taking his calls. What does that show you, the type of man that his dad is? Who's in line to be our future king? Not our, but if you are a believer in the monarchy, then your future king. But as somebody who's Canadian and who's part of the Commonwealth, I think it's very important that we as Canadians have to start having an important conversation about, is this an institution that we want to continue supporting with our public tax dollars? Because each and every single one of us, from coast to coast to coast, we contribute to that. How? Well, when the royals come and visit Canada, we pay for their security, for example. Our governor generals across the country, those are representatives of the Queen. We pay for their lifestyle. There's so many indirect and direct costs that come from Canadians' taxpayers that support this institution. And in 2021, when we're talking about, eradicating systems or rebuilding systems that have embedded racism in them, how can we continue to support a system that clearly, okay, has institutionalized racism in it?
Right.
They didn't want to give Archie the title of prince, and she wouldn't say it, but we all knew it because he had black in him. Black is beautiful. Royal family. Black is beautiful. Whoever was making that decision clearly don't know about that. Like I don't know. But what I do know is that what was said is their truth. And we've seen the other side, because if you've read the tabloids and you've read the newspapers, a lot of questionable stuff was said about Meghan, was said about Harry, right? You look at the type of coverage that Kate received and Meghan received, in terms of the same type of content, it was negative for Meghan, positive for Kate.
Well, let's talk about the importance of independent media.
Well, this is why independent media is important, because with independent media, then you could actually have people, let's say, who don't attend those tabloid parties that the Buckingham Palace was putting on, right? And isn't as influenced by all of that. And you have more voices, right? That can actually provide different perspectives. Like, there's no way in heck, like, if there were more voices talking about these issues that had influence, right? Because there are a lot of voices, but I'm talking about voices with influence and have reach, right? You only have reach if you have an audience. If there were more voices, then we would have a better variety of stories.
Right. But can you imagine if the story came out 10 years ago? The climate, the environment, it was just so different back then.
It was so different. And we saw what happened to someone, who's impacted by that. Princess Diana. And that's what Harry said. He didn't want to see history repeat itself.
Right.
He was fearful that history would repeat itself. Now, listen. All I can say is this. I'm going to end off on this note because we got to get back to work. But when we talk about institutions, right? And I also want to touch on this because Harry said that he felt trapped. And I love how Oprah pushed back on this. Like, as a privileged man who came from the royal family, you felt trapped? How did you feel trapped? And he said this. His dad and his brother are trapped because they can't get out of this, right? They can't get out. All they know is this, and they're destined in line to continue in the throne.
Right.
So they can't leave their circumstance. They can't leave their situation, and he's compassionate to that. And I understood that for a second. I got that for a second is because, for us, we don't know what the inside looks like. This is our first time really getting a glimpse into what the inside looks like, right? It looks so glamorous. It feels so glamorous, right? And it's like, how could it not be glamorous? And for them, if they did want to leave, what would they do next? because that's what they're known for, right? That's what they're known for. However, there are many people, I think, who can relate to feeling trapped. Like, you could have a job, let's say, that is, like, let's say you're a doctor, right? Right, you're a doctor. Like, you work so hard to become a doctor, and you're finally a doctor. And it's like, you know, we all think a doctor's such a high esteemed job. So if you know a doctor, wouldn't it be weird if a doctor just said, I don't want to be a doctor no more, I want to be a travel blogger? You'd be like, what? Why would you want to do that? Yeah. You have such a great job, you make so much money, right? It's because of the society we live in. We put so much value on certain things, right. You know, like on certain things that are so vain at the end of the day.
Right. At the cost of, you know, your soul.
At the cost of your soul. Yeah. And what these two did, Harry and Meghan, they said, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna allow you to dictate and take our lives away. We're still gonna live our lives. And I can relate to that. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you why I can relate to that, because I felt trapped for a moment in time in life, okay? I felt trapped in a moment in time in life working at a job that I felt was part of an institution that wasn't doing justice to viewers in terms of telling information. And just like them, men had to step out and do their own thing. And so, you know what? I wish them well. I wish them peace. They're gonna have a baby girl. You know, I hope they come up with a name like Latoya or something like that. You're like Princess Latoya. I think that would be sick. But at the end of the day, they spoke their truth. And once you speak your truth, nobody can't say nothing about you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, Gigi, we gotta get back to work. Let's go.